Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be unto you and the mercy and his blessings. This talk is going to be about the Middle Passage and its aftermath, um, and how the Middle Passage was deliberately designed to be so brutal, so traumatic as to induce amnesiac shock. The captives were so traumatized that they forgot their family names, the names of the nations that they came from, their history, and other essential information. And once they arrived on the plantations, of course, they were given other names and told who they were, a false notion of who they were, and put to work year after year, generation after generation, having no idea of who they were. So I first got this idea from a book entitled Muslims in American History by Gerald, Jerald, F. Dirks, Dirks. An excellent book, um, which has no index, which is a terrible, terrible thing in a book, in a knowledgeable book. There's no index, so often I want to find something and I have to go searching through the book to find it. But there was just one item, I think it was barely just a sentence, that pointed out how brutal the Middle Passage was. And I realized when I read that, I said, that was deliberate. It was deliberate. Um, when they transported cattle and horses and sheep and goats and chickens, they made sure that they arrived in good condition. It was money in the bank and it saved on insurance. But so why? Why did they brutalize the human captives? Okay, so they saw these people as being valuable simply as laborers, physical labor. What needs to be pointed out, because I'm one of them. I'm one of these, I say, children of the Middle Passage, COMPS for short, COMPS. Uh, and I propose that as an understanding of who we are as African Americans. I'm going to touch on the fallacy of race because that's what we were told, that, oh, we're a different race. And different races are different intellectual, not just physically, but intellectually, morally, uh, and they had their different places in society. So I'm proposing that who we are is based on the aftermath of the trauma of the Middle Passage. We are children of the Middle Passage. We are not a different race. We are children of the Middle Passage. Um, and this is easy for me to embrace because you may look at me and see, oh, yeah, his skin color, his hair, and all of this. I have cousins who are light skinned, blue eyed, with wavy hair. My mother's Uncle Bill, if he didn't tell people he was not a white man, and he didn't like white people, but he had blue eyes and pink skin. You know, they're not white; they're pink, most of them. Uh, if he didn't tell people, they thought he was a white man. Um, and his mother, my great grandmother, I always thought of her as my great grandmother. I have a photograph of her. Uh, and one day I looked at the picture and I said, "That's a picture of a white woman." And we all know in our family that her father was the slave master. So that's my great great grandfather. And finally, just a few years ago, I said, well, I'm going to accept that. He is actually my great great grandfather. If he didn't acknowledge his children, that was his problem. Okay? Um, so we are not different races. If we were different races, we wouldn't have all of these different admixtures and intermarriages and interminglings and all of that kind of stuff. Uh, We are all human beings. We are the same race. There is one race of human beings. There are different ethnic groups, but we are all the same race. So, what differentiates African Americans as a group is that we are children of the Middle Passage. We are different from those Africans, those people from Africa. And Africa, I need to point out, is a name given to that part of the world by the Europeans. They went all over the place giving names to everything: the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, North America, South America, Australia. They named all of these things. And the question is, do we accept that? We need to think about it. Um, the continent that massive land that they named Africa, and they always leave off the upper right hand corner. They leave off the upper right hand corner. Ramses the Great, uh, when he fought the Hittite Empire, which was where Turkey is today, um, Ramses' realm extended up past Arabia into where Syria is today. That was part of Egypt. The Greeks called it Egypt. They didn't call it Egypt. I think they called it Kemet. Kemet. But at any rate, the thing is that the Europeans just cut that part of the world off of Africa, and they have a scheme behind that. But that's for another talk. Um, so the Middle Passage was designed to be so brutal that we forgot who we were. And so to this day, there's an author, Mississippi author, and I keep forgetting his name, William, uh, famous Mississippi author, white man. But he said, the past is not dead. It is not even past. So we are still living in the Middle Passage. It's not dead. It's not even past. We're still living in it. It's the way we treat each other. And the trauma of this is documented by psychologists. Trauma is passed down from womb to womb. It's even passed down from loin to loin. I don't know how male animals pass on their trauma to their children, because most of the time male animals have nothing to do with raising their children. But in human beings, of course, we know from the way we have often been, my dad was an excellent man. So I didn't experience what so many of my brothers and sisters have experienced. Um, but the trauma. Well, he experienced trauma, and my mother experienced trauma. On top of what was passed down from the Middle Passage, we have the trauma in our own lives, and this is passed on from womb to womb, and loin to loin, and so we are traumatized people, and we need healing. That's the important thing to understand. All of us, we need healing. We need healing as individuals. We need healing as a population of people. Okay? The past is not even past. It is still with us. Okay? Um, Now, about race being a myth, you can look up Ashley Montague, one of the leading anthropologists of the 20th century. He wrote a book, A Man's Most Dangerous Myth: The Fallacy of Race. And Stephen Jay Gould, Gould, Gould wrote about race, pointing out how this is simply not true. And we have to stop, we have to work. This is something we need to work at. We need to work at removing this idea of race from our bones, from, that we are a race. And I've heard people say, oh, well, people say this all the time. Oh, that, we need to wean ourselves off of this they. Oh, they treat us bad because of this color of our skin. Nonsense. They hate us, yes. They hate African Americans. White Americans in general hate African Americans. But the skin color is that's not it. That's not it. There's a general principle of human affairs. And you need to understand this. When one group of people abuse another group of people, the people who do the abusing hate the people that they have abused. Now, you would think logically that the people who have been abused hate the people who abuse them. But even you look at the situation of the United States, you have all of these white Americans who hate African Americans and other people, but mainly, primarily African Americans. Why did they elect this idiot, this obviously insane, obviously stupid, loser, idiot? Why did they vote for him? They voted for him because they hate us. Okay, we need to understand that, And what have we done? Hateful towards them, right? Well, this is a general principle of human affairs that people, like for instance in Europe, the Germans have abused the Slavs for generations. And who hates who? The Germans hate the Slavs. The Germany invaded Russia, exterminated, at least hundred thousands of people. Um, they consider the Slavs an inferior race. Okay, uh, the Germans, the German, of course, they abused the Jews for many centuries, and of course, who hates who? They hate the Jews. Um, the Japanese, they invaded Korea. They have abused the Koreans. Who hates who? The Japanese hate the Koreans. I mean, this goes on and on. I give you a list, and same thing. It happens in Africa. It happened historically in Africa. One group of people abuse another group of people, and the people who did the abusing hate the people that they have abused. Okay, um, so we need to understand this situation, right? We want them to love us. These are people who've gone all over the world, so-called white people. They're Europeans. Wherever they go, they're Europeans. They speak English usually. They've gone all over the world and exterminated perhaps 200 million people out of a global population that was less than 1 billion. One-fifth of the population. They've abused and exterminated all of these people. And then here we are, African Americans, looking to them, asking them, oh, please be nice to us. So we need to get over that. We need to be healed. We need to be healed of the idea that there are different races, that we are a different race. We need to be healed of this idea of looking to white people to we think they're going to change our situation. We have to change our situation. So one of the most important things we need to know, and this is something that Prophet Muhammad said, if you are not advanced by your actions, you will not be advanced by your ancestry. Okay? The fact that ancient people in Africa built pyramids and did all of this, all of these different things, that's not going to advance us. It's wonderful to know those things, but it's the idea of races behind that, like, oh, well, this proves that we're not racially inferior. Okay, if you need to keep saying it over and over and over again, that means, it hasn't entered your heart. Uh, we need to look at each other on a moment to moment, day to day basis and remind ourselves that we need to love ourselves. We need to help ourselves. When we see our brother or sister doing something good, we need to help them. Okay? This is an obligation that we have as a people and as servants of the Almighty. This is what advances us. This is what advances us. But what our ancestors did will not advance us. Okay? Um, So, at any rate, we are children of the Middle Passage, and we need to find out who we are here, right? Oh, it's good to study the history of people over there, but they didn't call the place where they lived Africa. Okay, so we can say, but there are nations, Futa Jalon, Futa Toro, Bondu, other nations over there, and languages and whatnot. We can study that, but we need to deal with ourselves here, face to face, person to person. And also, I would like to add, music is my expertise, my specialty. If you don't know who you are, you don't know what your music is. So we can honor the people who have accomplished so much in music. But we don't know this, but the Europeans learned how to make their classical music from our ancestors. Okay, so if you want to talk about what your ancestors accomplished, they didn't just build pyramids. They taught Europeans how to make their symphonic music. The chaconne, which Bach wrote chaconne, Brahms wrote chaconnes. There's chaconnes all over European classical music. That was brought to the captives in Cuba. They that's where the chaconne originated. The captives, okay, the enslaved captives, and the Europeans brought the chaconne back to Europe, and then from back to Spain, and then from there it spread to the rest of Europe. And so those people, Bach and Mozart and Beethoven and Brahms, they didn't know they were writing African music or music from wherever. Uh, and so anyway, we should listen to that music. Uh, but at any rate, we don't know what our music is, and we want to listen to it and everything. But the music that we listen to, for the most part, is reinforcing our notion of inadequacy, of inferiority. Um, I was happy with hip hop when it first came out because for the first time there was anger in popular music. There had been some anger in jazz, but that was after jazz stopped being popular, from bebop and on. Before that, jazz was all happy, 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 swing music and all of that, and entertaining white people. But then along came people like Miles Davis, and Charlie Parker, and they stopped smiling. But at any rate, the thing is that hip hop, the anger. I said, wow, that's what we need. We need some anger, but we also need heroism. We need organization, organized, intelligent music. African American men, you need to listen to, and this is my recommendation as an expert, okay? Listen to the first movement of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, Symphony number 5, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. And the fact that Beethoven was black has nothing to do with it. I mean, I've actually stopped saying that because, white people need to believe that he was white. We don't need to believe that, I mean, okay, he was a blackamoor. That's what people called him. Beethoven, Ludwig van Beethoven. But the first movement of his Fifth Symphony, listen to it attentively. Don't do anything else, right? Don't read a book. Don't do the dishes. Just ears, right? Just listen, pay attention, focus. Okay, the whole movement is only 8 minutes long. That's one of the reasons I recommend it. But there are the characteristic of heroism and intensity and organization. Um, this is what music does. It makes human beings. Okay, so its purpose is not to, and tranquilize you. You know, that's what white people want you to be, tranquilized. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, intense. Okay, so inshallah, we are children of the Middle Passage. We need healing. We need to recover, and so there's a lot more that can be said about that. Um, but that's it for now. I've probably forgotten something, but Allah knows best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.